Habakkuk 2:4, it's the most quoted verse in the New Testament, one of them. And it says this, "Behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright within him. But the righteous shall live by his faith." The righteous shall live by faith. Of course, we know that Romans 1:17 repeats and quote that verse from Habakkuk 2:4. And it says this, that the righteous will live by faith. Then Galatians 3:11, it says this, "Clearly, none of us and nobody that we could lead relies on the law. It's justified before God because the righteous will live by faith." Then we see again in Hebrews 11:6, it says this, "And without faith, it is impossible to please God." So the righteous shall live by faith, but without faith, it's impossible to please God. And the big question is this, as leaders, do we lead by faith or do we lead by charisma? And often we think leadership is the leadership by faith. Is it emotion? Is faith is emotion? Is it a charisma? Is it a lifestyle that causes people to be drawn to us? But we see here something that is very incredible, that once we're saved, we are declared righteous. And we know that we're declared righteous not by work, but because of what Jesus did for us on the cross, that we're clothed by righteousness through Jesus in our life. Now, how does the righteous live? Once we're saved, we're declared righteous. Now the righteous live by faith. What is that look like in a leadership style? Now we know this from the Old Testament to the New Testament, all the way to the book of Hebrews. We see a lineup of leaders who were declared righteous, not because what they believed, but by the work they did. We know that the book of Hebrews 11, it tells us that Abraham, because of what he did, he was declared righteous. So is his faith made him righteous? And that is it righteousness is by work? Of course, we know this. We are saved not by good work, but we're saved for good work. And now faith comes to play as a leader leads. It becomes the way the other people see how we live, so they can actually not just follow in leadership, but actually we become the example of walking by faith for them. Now, Romans 10:17, it says this, "So then faith comes by hearing the word of God." So faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. So faith comes by hearing. So what is faith? Now we know Hebrews 11, it says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So if faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God, so we could say faith equal the word of God. If we put that word of God in Romans and Hebrews 11, we'll find out that we'll read this. The word of God is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. My approach in leadership often rely heavily on faith, but not faith in my gifting or my talent or my abilities or the gift and the faith in anybody else. But we see here, faith comes from the word of God, and the word of God calls us to be constantly filled and moved by faith. So the word of God becomes the substance that we hold on and the evidence of things not seen. Recently, I was checking in a hotel in Costa Rica, and I found out when I got there, the lady said, "I'm so sorry, your reservation have not made it." And I repeated my name a couple times, and she said, "I don't have a reservation for you, and I'm sorry, this hotel is completely full." I had to grab my phone and look in my emails. Then all of a sudden, I find my confirmation. And I asked her if this is the right hotel. She said, yes. So I grabbed the confirmation and I showed it to her. And I said, I have a confirmation for this hotel. And she said, if this is your confirmation, then I guess I have a room for you. See, I don't have a room yet. I have not seen the room. And she was not sure if there's a room for me. But because I have the confirmation, my confirmation became the evidence of what I have not experienced yet, which is to have a room in that hotel. Often, the Word of God becomes this evidence for me and you to the things that have not happened yet. And through the promises of God becomes the anchor that anchor a leader's soul in a time of great trouble. We know that the book of Hebrews talk about that the promises of God is an anchor for our soul in the raging sea of changes. As leaders, we lead, and as we lead, we'll always be challenged by circumstance and what goes around us. I know this, the promises of God, and when we hold on to a word from the Lord, or when we hold on to the word of God that we received for what He said He will do, that causes the required faith that causes to sustain even when we don't see results yet. Now, you know, in sports, in the Olympics, you have the high jumpers. High jumpers, they could jump off the ground up to 8 feet high. 8 feet. They could jump right from the ground, 8 feet up. However, you have another Olympics sports that's incredible, and that is the pole vaulter. The pole vaulters, they have this pole, and when they run with the pole, once they stick the pole in the box and they hold on to that pole lift them up 18 to 20 feet up in the air and get them over the obstacle. Think of it this way. Every promise of God in the Word of God that me and you receive always comes with a problem. What causes a promise to appeal to me and you is usually a situation, hardship, or a challenge that we're going through, and we're looking for what the Word of God will say to me and you. So the promises of God is usually comes with a problem. You know, Abraham and Sarah situations. God told Abraham, I'll make you a great nation. You'll have a child. But that came with a problem. Here is the promise. It came with a problem. The problem is they were too old to have children. Abraham says, I'm way too old. And Sarah, way too old. And we're not sure if this could ever happen. But what caused the promise to be an incredible, if you would, the pull to hold on to, that caused to get me and you over the barrier of a problem. So think of that pole vaulter in my life and yours is the promises of God that we hold on to. And often that becomes, when we hold on to the promise, that pull, the faith into what God will do is what gets us over to the other side of the challenges. And often in leadership, the ceiling that we stretch to reach, it becomes the new ground that we walk in when we hold on to the promises of God. So you could jump high off the ground on your own ability, in your own talent, but you're only going to jump about 8 feet high. But you hold on to the promises of God, and through faith, and you find yourself lifted of the situation 18 to 20 feet up in the air and threw you right over the barrier to experience what is it like walking in the fulfillment of the Word of God. I want to encourage you today, faith is not emotions. Faith is not a charisma. Faith is not a style of leadership. Faith is a substance. Faith is a substance that is found in the Word of God through the promises of God, that when we hold on to it, it will take us to places we never been there before. I guarantee you the people that you're leading are watching you in a time of a challenge more than you think ever they will be paying attention to how you handle things. And as we lead and as we continue to trust God, as we lead other people, every time we deal with a problem or face with a challenge, it's an opportunity for us to put faith on display, trusting in the promises of God.